We're going to be looking at Unit 7, Assignment 10, Further Achievements. So, we're going to look at some pretty important inventions in the Industrial Revolution. There are no key terms for this particular assignment, so we'll just jump right in. So, we'll look first at advances in energy sources, right? So, when we're looking at industrialization, we're looking at machines. You've got to have some sort of energy input to power those machines, whether that be manpower, horsepower. So literally, attaching a device to an animal, whether it be a mule or a horse, as your energy source, or some sort of physical uh, energy storing device. So that'd be like a battery or the battery acid within a battery, or coal, oil, petroleum. So petroleum products are oil and coal, gasoline. Gasoline is refined oil, refined crude oil. So the oil that Edwin L. Drake is going to drill is going to first be used to fuel kerosene lamps or lubricate machine parts so that they would run smoothly. Even today, we still use oil in vehicles to lubricate machine parts to keep them from breaking down. Gasoline is refined from crude oil. It was used to burn inside cylinders, which are part of an engine, a gasoline engine. The more cylinders an engine has, typically, the more powerful the engine is. So an 8-cylinder truck is more powerful most of the time than a 6-cylinder truck. A 6-cylinder truck is most of the time more powerful than a 4-cylinder truck. Today, in the past, probably 5 or 6 years, Ford has put out some new turbocharged V6 engines. So V6 is indicating the number of pistons there and they form the shape of a V. You could also have like an inline six, or I think Mazda several years ago had done something weird that instead of doing inline or a V shape for their cylinders, they did some sort of like circular pattern. Anyways, a V6 engine from Ford recently has become more powerful than their V8s because they've installed something called turbos in them, which are just they're just fans. They blow in extra oxygen. Oxygen, um, when you combine hydrogen and oxygen, that is called combustion. And that combustion is rapid. It's a little small explosion and that's the internal combustion engine. That combustion takes place within that cylinder or that piston within the engine. So, swapping from looking at this oil, we're going to swap over to electricity. There's a guy named Edison, Thomas Edison, who's going to be intent on developing a lamp that would glow when electricity passed through it. After experimenting with several materials, Edison is going to finally succeed. In October of 1879, his light bulb is going to glow for 40 hours. Today we have Edison light bulbs still. They're swapping over to LED mostly and are simply, they're decorative at this point. The Edison bulb is a decorative bulb. Um, Electricity benefited everyone. As an efficient source of energy, it was used for multiple purposes, including operating communication systems and powering machines at the touch of a fingertip. As you guys know, the internal combustion engine has reigned as king in the car world for the past 100 years. But that could be soon changing. Ford is coming out with an electric F-150 that supposedly can pull a train. I mean, you go look up their advertisement. They're advertising an F-150 that can pull a train. That's crazy. The fact that an electronic vehicle can tow more than a gas vehicle, that's wild. All right, advances in transportation. Following the development of the internal combustion engine that we've just talked about in the 1860s, came the invention of the horseless carriage and the automobile or car. The 1890s witnessed the creation of many successful motor cars designed not only by Henry Ford, but also by Charles and Frank Duryea and by Ransom E. Olds. I guess that'd be the origination of the name Oldsmobile, which I believe all Oldsmobiles at this point have been are no longer in production. Ford's assembly line solved the problem of the high price of vehicles. So Ford's Model T, that was the name of a car, it was Model T, was priced within reach of the average consumer, and it became the most successful passenger car of its day. That's because of the assembly line. I had discussed the assembly line process a couple videos ago, and that is being applied here in the Model T production. The airplane is a huge change. People had experimented with the idea of flying since the beginning of time, but Orville and Wilbur Wright made flying a reality. On December 17, 1903, they conducted the first successful flight of a machine-powered, man-piloted aircraft. Their 1903 flight was followed by years of improvement and experimentation. Then in 1908, the brothers sold an airplane to the United States Army. The airplane was used in World War I and proved to be extremely valuable for fighting and spying missions. And even my grandfather, before he passed away, he'd tell me stories. He went to an all-boys school in Chicago. They had about 11,000 students, and on top of their school, they would have the boys build gliders. So a glider is the size of an airplane, but it doesn't have an engine, and it was used solely for silently flying and collecting reconnaissance information. So those boys at that school, they actually built as just part of their education, they would build gliders that the United States military would use in war. Air travel has brought the most remote areas of the world within reach. For industry, air travel provides a means of finding new sources of raw materials and of transporting goods quickly. Because air freight is more expensive than road or rail freight, it is used primarily for transporting lightweight, perishable, or emergency goods. This last topic we'll look at, advances in communication, is going to centralize around two things: the telegraph and the telephone. The telegraph, I guess first let's just look for a minute at parcel delivery. City delivery by the United States Postal System was developed in 1863. Isn't the post office just, the postal service, isn't that just strange? You can stick a box on top of a post outside your house, throw some numbers on that box, your street address, and some lady, some man will come by every single day and put letters in that box. I mean, it's just amazing, in my opinion, that system is so well organized. That's not to say they don't make mistakes. They do make mistakes, but it's organized. City delivery was developed by the postal system in 1863, with special delivery in 1885, and then rural free delivery in 1896. In 1861, the first transcontinental telegraph was completed, joining California and the East Coast. And eventually, a line is sent over, or under rather, the Atlantic Ocean to England. Stretching from Newfoundland in Canada to England, the first transatlantic cable allowed messages to be sent electronically by telegraph between two continents. So now you can send messages almost instantaneously. On March 10th, 1876, Alexander Graham Bell successfully builds a telephone. So that's just a couple days ago. Today is, I'm recording this on March the 12th, so you'll probably be watching this on March the 14th. So it was just 4 days ago. That marked 150 years almost since Alexander Graham Bell first invented the telephone. Alexander Graham Bell he called using his telephone to another telephone in his office, in another room in his office, to his assistant and told him to come into his office. The public was very skeptical about the new development, as it was with Drake and Fulton. Nevertheless, the American Bell Telephone Company was started. And then as a result of American Bell, you've got Bell South, Bell North, Bell West. You've got all these different Bell companies that, for the most part, end up getting purchased by AT&T. Between 1880 and 1902, more than 1 million telephones were installed. Machines such as the cash register, calculator, and computer save time, money, and labor in modern business. So that's the end of the list of inventions here that we're going to talk about. Pretty cool the way that our society has developed and the inventions that came out of the United States. That's the end of my lesson. If you have questions, email me. Let me know. I'll get back with you. Bye, guys.